I remember when this whiskey was released and the frenzy online that it was causing was actually insane. But does today's Redbreast live up to the hype? Welcome back to the Redbreast Diaries, where I have been opening every single bottle of Redbreast Irish whiskey that I can get my hands on. I've been exploring what makes this iconic Irish whiskey brand tick, and today I am looking at a whiskey from their Iberian Series, that series of Irish whiskies that they have been essentially taking their Redbreast whiskies and dipping them for a finishing period into different Spanish and Portuguese casks. So today we are looking at Redbreast that's been finished off in Tawny Port. So this is the Redbreast Tawny Port Edition. I actually remember buying this one. It hit the shelves, I think it was 2023, and it was like, the Tawny Port is going to be released because the Redbreast have used Tawny Port in this one, but they also used it in their 27-year-old Dream cask. That was finished off in Tawny Port too, and that's almost impossible to get your hands on. So this could be the next best thing to almost experience that wonderful, mythical bottle that is Redbreast Dream cask. So I'm quite excited for this one. Now, about this whiskey has been distilled down in the Middleton Distillery down in County Cork, where all the Redbreast Irish whiskey is made. Redbreast as a brand is always a single pot still Irish whiskey, and that just means that they use malted barley and unmalted barley together, and then they triple distill it in copper pot stills. Now, some of you may know Redbreast 12-year-old as like the iconic Irish whiskey. It's also like their first one usually in the range. Now, there is no age statement on this label, but this label looks class. I love this sort of like light, like pinky sort of vibe. Like, look at that. And you just see the Redbreast in flight up there as well. What I did notice on the back here, it's quite hard to actually read that, but they have here that the Tawny Port Edition, so the finish of this is a minimum of 9 months. So that final aging has been in that unique Tawny Port finish for 9 months. And the Tawny Port itself is from the Taco Pal cooperage in Portugal. So, we are just getting to know more and more people around the world by drinking the Iberian Series, which I have time for. And this whiskey comes in at 46% ABV or 92 proof as well. So this is box fresh. We all know what I got to do. I got to rate that Redbreast pop. These Iberian bottles do not like me opening them. This is the second one I have struggled to get the foil cap off. I had to hack at it there. Anyway, it's open now, so let's rate that Redbreast Tawny Port pop. Oh, nice. I actually thought I might have spelt that. That was a good pop. Definitely not the best in the range, but that's a pretty good pop. Let me just clean up here. But yeah, that was cool. I don't know if I've seen that on the label before, but that says finished in the finest Tawny Port hogshead. So lovely. You just can't beat that whiskey gargle, can you? So yeah, this is finished off in Tawny Port, but what actually is Tawny Port and how does that affect your whiskey? So Tawny Port is essentially a Portuguese fortified wine made from red grapes. It's then aged like over a pretty extended period. And because of that, some of the flavours that we can expect to come from that are brown sugar, a nutty note, a caramel sort of element to it all. And some Tawny Ports as well can be aged 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So there's a lot of complexity that goes into producing a Tawny Port. So then to put a pretty amazing whiskey into it, could be a match made in heaven. So let's give it a wee sniff and see how that goes. Okay. So the nose is kind of lighter than I was expecting, right? It's like dry and a wee bit tannic on the nose. Definitely get that amazing Redbreast backbone coming through there. We've got the ex-bourbon there and the oloroso sherry, because this Redbreast is still aged in that Redbreast like DNA of casks before going into that tawny port, and I feel like the nose of this is a wee bit more classic from what I can remember, but yeah, there's some things going on there, but that brown sugar, that vanilla, that classic sort of nutty sherry note, Christmas cake, raisins, that's what's coming off the nose. Definitely biscuity from that malt, maybe that tannic sort of dryness is like pushing some of the flavours down. Maybe the whiskey's just a bit cold. Maybe a touch of banana in there as well, but all in all, maybe this will develop on the aroma the longer I have it in the glass, but straight away it doesn't punch you in the nose with flavours, you know. Yeah, let's give it a wee sip. Okay, first impressions, it's very light, almost incredibly light. It just skims across the palate. Okay. The second sip flavours are really starting to build. They're actually starting to come up and almost like a crescendo of flavours. Pot still spices there. They are the first thing. They are setting the foundation of flavour on my tongue right now. So we've got some white pepper, black pepper. Decent enough mouthfeel, but still slightly tight. Maybe even a wee touch tannic. We did get some tannins on the nose, but that tannicness is maybe tightening up the aroma on the tongue, or the flavours on the tongue. Yeah, the aroma, maybe dark cherry is coming out now that I've had a few sips, but yeah, not the maddest about the nose. Definitely subtle and complex. There is a wee touch of a wine, like a red wine sort of dryness, but I am really like thinking about it. You know, it's almost like you think about an aroma or a flavour and then you can taste it, but it's definitely subtle and finessed. Definitely not the sweet, like sort of sherry bomb I was thinking. And I've tried like a fair few tawny ports. It doesn't even have like a stickiness to it, but maybe it's the dryness from the wood and the oxidization of the tawny port that's coming out. And maybe it's just different, right? Variety is the spice of life after all. If all whiskies tasted the same, it would be very boring. Now, the last few whiskies I've done, I haven't added water, but I feel like this one isn't giving me a lot right now, so I am going to add some water. I'm actually going to split this glass into two to see if adding water actually changes it. Little water jug. Yeah, you can see the water and the whiskey just clashing and dancing together in the glass. Straight away on the nose, I get like now big orange peel, so like fresh orange straight away. Definitely some of that vanilla cask coming out there. Wouldn't say I can pull a huge amount of like a sherry influence though. Maybe a wee bit of nut actually, just coming there. Ooh, that fruit, spice and sweetness have really just opened up on the palate. Very nicely. Quite surprisingly so, because it wasn't like this at 46%. But that wee bit of water has definitely opened that up. Yeah, maybe a wee bit more raspberry, a bit more like that jammy note coming out. Maybe even poached apples there when I've added the water. Yeah, there honestly seems like there's more of a nose available with the water added. Well, there you go. That could be one of the first whiskies I have tried in this Redbreast series that is actually more approachable and open with water. But all in all, right, I actually wanted to love this whiskey, right? This came out after that big 27-year-old dream cask, so everyone, including myself, thought that this might be a little slice of paradise if we didn't get the dream cask, which I didn't, in the ballad. But that Redbreast pot still, DNA, backbone, whatever you want to call it, is so apparent in this whiskey that I think I would rather just buy a bottle of Redbreast 12. I wouldn't go hunting for this. Maybe I wouldn't spend the $100 or the £100 or whatever it is on this, because I just don't think it has enough of an interesting element to it. Like, I just don't think it lands. I think the aroma is slightly muted than I was expecting. I don't think the palate is really like exciting enough for me. Now maybe it is for you. Maybe you absolutely adore this whiskey, but I have tried a fair few Redbreasts to date, and there is a few others that for roughly the same price point I would rather go to than this whiskey. Saying that, I'm glad I tried it, I'm glad I have a bottle, but I probably wouldn't even order a glass of this at the bar, and I wouldn't buy another bottle, to be honest. Still fantastic, well made, well balanced, but for that little bit of limited edition rarity, I don't think it's worth it. This bottle essentially just roared off the shelves and whispered in the glass, huh? But maybe you've tried it and you love it. Let me know if you did. Sláinte. Cheers. Have a good one. Och, it is tasty though. Och, it's still great whiskey, right? Cheers.